to Makhanda, Grahamstown, also known as the City of Saints because of all the churches. It's not been blessed with water. Late last week, over 70% of the university town and surrounds had run dry. There were chaotic scenes yesterday and overnight as people jostled with their buckets to get fresh water from tankers provided by Gift of the Givers. The charity has, as we have of course previously reported, sunk a number of boreholes in the area. Well, to tell us about the latest plight of Makhanda, I'm joined by the Director of Gift of the Givers, Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman. Good evening, Doctor. So I know that Gift of the Givers has sunk a number of boreholes previously in and around Makhanda. Why is the city almost dry? I mean, for 6 days, most of the town has simply had no water.
Sally, good evening. This goes back more than just 6 days. There have been times throughout the last 2 years where water scarcity comes about, where the pumps have a problem, water doesn't flow. It's something that's been going on for 2 years now. The fact that we did, since in 2019, providing a water tanker to supply water to different parts of the town every single day, 365 days a year, means something is not right. Because if the town had enough water, or the water is being distributed everywhere, they won't need our water tankers there. That's the past issue. Currently, it seems like that one of the pumps at the James Cleanans Dam got flooded, got damaged, and the pump could not pump water to a large part of the city. And that's the major problem now. But whilst watching the people coming to the different areas, it's far more areas that we're supplying now than we've ever done in our 2 years in Makhanda. It seems there may be a problem even on the other side, on the Wainak side of it. Because I can't believe the distribution of one side is so massive. It almost seems that the support that Wainak gives the town is negligible. And I don't think that's true.
So we're going to have a look at those pictures shortly of people queuing for water. How many people do you estimate are without water?
It's thousands. It's more than 70 to 80% of the whole town. Depending on the population, it's the whole town. But remember, those who can afford to buy bottled water, bring it maybe even from outside town, because the shops in the town have run out of bottled water. And then there are the fortunate few that have boreholes. The private schools, and the guest houses, they have boreholes. So those that have boreholes, businesses that have boreholes who were wise enough to install boreholes during the last few years of the crisis, they should be fine. And they are not the people dependent on the water tankers and the water providing. But the rest of the town, especially if you go, and not especially, it's everybody. It's still businesses in town. People who've got guest houses, some of them who don't have the boreholes, they look, students are coming back next week, what are we going to do? Garages, shops, all have a problem. And then the schools, the kids can't wash, they can't go to school. Parents are complaining, schools have just opened after such a long time, we can't send our kids. Clinics are calling, and the communities. I mean, first time ever, we've never seen this before, where we're filling the water tanker for it to go and leave to another area. But the people around the water tanker start opening the taps, so the water tanker doesn't get full, because they're so desperate to take the water whilst we're filling the water tanker. And you can't get angry because they're desperate. They want to feed their children. They want to feed old people at home about water. It's a very, very difficult situation.
What is going wrong? Because this is not just one crisis. It sounds to me, what you're explaining to me, is a town dependent on Gift of the Givers to stay afloat, quite literally. The municipality, I understand, has also been calling you, asking you to help. That municipality is in dire straits. I believe it's been dissolved at one point. There's challenges to that. Is this a complete failure of a municipality? Can we cut them some slack because there's been such a terrible drought? What is the nexus of the problem?
Sally, there's many parts to this problem. One right now, I think the biggest problem is the lack of skills. My engineers and our bold people were at the water pumps, and they said if they had the chance, before the pump went away to Joburg, it's probably something they could have fixed up. The second thing they said is they don't understand how a water facility doesn't have an emergency trip switch. Because when water levels start rising to ankle level, the switch switches off. There shouldn't be flooding in the room. It shouldn't be dependent on a human person being there or suddenly falls asleep, and doesn't press a stop button. So there are simple things that could have been done. But I think with the migration of people leaving the town or people leaving the municipality, I'm very convinced there's a lack of skill to monitor and supervise the pump. But they should have come to the stage. It should have been picked up long before we reached this stage. Secondly, I don't think that water support or looking after dams should be a municipality responsibility. This should fall under national government. It's far too important, to have it run at the municipality level. It's something that needs a whole national team to supervise all the dams in South Africa, especially when we have such a drought crisis. The Eastern Cape drought is not breaking. There's water everywhere in the country. Floods here, storms everywhere. Dams getting full, rivers getting full, but nothing is happening in the Eastern Cape. So the drought, the lack of balls, non-functioning technical parts, all equipment, lack of maintenance, lack of skills is a combination of factors causing the problem not only in Makhanda, but in many other parts of the Eastern Cape.
Thank you very much for telling us all about what is going on in Makhanda. Dr. Imtiaz Sooliman, Director of GIFT of the Givers.